Growing up on the west side of Chicago, a young Patrick Beverley never had the odds in his favor. But while gang activity and drug violence created a new challenge to overcome every single day, it was the streets of the city that molded him from a young age.
When you're born into a lot of situations, it becomes natural. So you think that this is going around every other place, when you grow up. So it didn't seem like the norm.
The west side of Chicago is an experience. You will have to definitely grow up from the west side to understand the dynamics of the neighborhood and the community and the people. Even though it's bad areas, but the people that are close to each other, and they kind of look out for each other and make sure that everyone is okay. But it's very dangerous.
It's a different mind frame. It's a total different mentality. But if you can get through it and make it out, you're mentally tough enough to be able to withstand anything.
Every time he walked out the front door, it was always temptation, always someone there. So what I did was, like I said, I just keep him in sports, keep him in different activities so he wouldn't have time to see the streets as much as I could. I would make sure he was doing something after school until it was time to come in, and that would be the end of that, just to make sure he was off the streets. Pat would always play pickup basketball in the neighborhood. It was a little playground across the street, down the street from where my mom stayed.
Growing up, for me, it was easy because I was a basketball player. So if I did want to stray, the guys who ran the block there kind of keep me in line. Or I came from a block where everybody on the block played basketball, so it kind of made it easier for me. That's where Patrick Beverley was born. I was there, 12, 13 hours a day, every day, after school, before school. Didn't go to school because I was there. Met my first girlfriend there. My first job was there. It was everything. It was everything that kind of helped me, own my skills and helped me become the player I am now.
Back in the day, my mom worked 2-3 jobs. The person who raised me, rest in peace, he died, due to gun violence. So we moved out to the suburbs. She wanted to get me away from that.
I took Patrick out to the suburbs. I just wanted a safe place for him, and I wanted him he was getting older, and I wanted to be able to watch him more, and I took him out to the suburbs. We moved out to Aurora. I just wanted him to have a safer environment. My
mom tried, she really tried to keep me away from that and keep me out of that, but she just couldn't. It was just who I am. I enjoyed the city, I enjoyed the streets, I enjoyed the block, I enjoyed my friends on the block, I enjoyed the park in the hood. I just enjoyed the hood.
I just want to fit in. One of my friends was there. I miss, people, when you say Mr. Block, it's not the gangs, it's your friends.
We stayed out there for a couple of years, and he begged and pleaded to go to the inner city. His whole thing was he wanted to go to college. His ultimate dream was the NBA. And his whole focus was, if I stay in the suburbs and play ball, I won't get recognized. Pat pleaded that he would never know if he could get a chance to make it pro if I kept him in the suburbs, because no one would ever see him. I have to go to the inner city. That's where the college coaches come. Those are the toughest players. Those are the hardest players. Those are the kids they look at. He said they'll never recognize me or see my potential in the suburbs. Did research, and I talked to the coach, and the coach assured me that if he comes to the high school, which was one of the toughest high schools on the west side of Chicago, that he would make sure that he would look out for him and kind of keep him away from any kind of trouble if I allowed him to transfer out.
I was in my office one day, and a young lady approached me with this kid, and the young lady was Lisa Beverley, Patrick Beverley's mom. Very little freshman ball, very little sophomore ball, no name at all. And she asked me, I really want to trust you with my son, but I watched this kid just shoot. He didn't take a break. The kid was special. And I sat down and I just asked him, what you want to do in life? The only thing I want to do is play in the NBA.
I think we were ranked, the top 5 worst high school at the time. Some wild stuff. But we had a really good basketball team.
First day of practice, he practiced with the team, and it was crazy. Just watching him play, his tenacity, his up-tempo, it was like the icing on the cake. We was already good, but he just put us on a whole nother level.
Practice with the team, play some games. I played well on varsity coming off the bench. And then after that, it was a wrap. Took the city over.
So his junior year is when people was, who was this kid? Where did he come from? And he just started making a name for himself.
The high school basketball community, that's all they were talking about. Patrick Beverley, Patrick Beverley. This kid's name was ringing all over the city.
He was hungry and he led by example. And Chicago moved fast, so it's like when you get an opportunity and it's presented itself, you got to take it. And he took full advantage of it.
He stood out. He was an aggressive type person. He was the type of person that'd get up under your skin, you know what I'm saying? He was an intimidator. You know, he made facial expressions that would intimidate people. He did a lot of talking off the court, but he backed it up on the court.
At the end of that year, everybody was kind of like, how did everybody miss this kid?
A lot of people didn't know about Patrick, you know, because he didn't do the AAUs. You know, he didn't go on the circuit and get a name for himself. So every day he had to, you know, make a name of himself.
I just played at the park. And my mom told me if they're good, they'll find you. And they did.
Senior year, Patrick was the leading scorer in the state of Illinois. At one time, he scored 40 or more points in 10 games against elite basketball players. You know, he didn't just do it against nobody. You know, we watch him, his defense is tenacious, but he was an offensive scoring machine.
What was so really significant about it was the fact that not only did he burst on the scene, but he burst on the scene doing something that he's not known for now in the NBA as far as scoring. He averaged almost 40 points a game. And West Side Chicago basketball, hard-nosed, gritty guards aren't usually scorers like that. It hadn't been done since like the days of Hershey Hawkins, Isaiah Thomas, where a guy was putting up those type of numbers. And then this kid not only showed up, but he ended up being like co-player of the year. So it's like you go from obscurity to the national stage. And he took Marshall right along with him.
We were the number 11 team in the nation. We won 33 games in a row. Had the city on smash. Smash, complete smash.
Oh man, there's nothing like high school basketball in the city of Chicago. And that year, you had Patrick Beverley with Marshall, you had Derrick Rose, Simeon. It was like a literal who's who in the basketball community. And these guys went on to have success at higher levels, but you got a show day in, day out.
We had games where it would be lockouts, like the gyms, every gym would be to the point where its capacity. Whenever he played, it would just sell out the gym. And I know one time we had college recruits trying to get in and they're calling my phone and saying the doors are locked, that they can't get in because the fire marshal says it's full.
Like you see guys betting on the games, 10, 20,000, all the top, people in the city, where it's police officers or drug dealers or everybody else there to see you play. It was like a show. It was like how it is in the NBA, it was a show. And if you're one of the top teams, people out the neighborhood wanted to see the show. And for me and for my high school, that we became really, really good and one of the best teams in the city and in the state and in the nation. We gained a big crowd fast.
He was the second best high school player in the city of Chicago, only behind Derrick Rose. And you think about what Derrick Rose's career was prior to the injuries. And to say that Patrick Beverley was the second player in the whole city of Chicago behind that guy, that lets you know that Patrick Beverley had a lot of talent in high school and he was on the verge of something special.
No one would ever do what I did in high school, ever. I averaged 40 points. And I look back on it, no one's ever done the things I've done in high school, that year in high school. No one, ever. Jabari Parker, D. Rose, Sean Dockery, I can go down from currently in the past. My senior year compared to anyone else's years, has never seen anyone do anything I've done. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but it was pretty ridiculous.
His mom's been receiving like 20 scholarship offers a day.
Recruiting is difficult. You have to do research and homework, and you have to be careful because every college will tell you they want you, they want to start you, you're their number one recruit. But I would look at the roster of all the colleges that recruited him, and I'll tell Pat, well, this college says you're going to start, but they have a junior and a senior at your position. which means when you come in, they're not going to sit their senior or their junior down. They're going to be next in line. So you probably won't really get any great playing time to your sophomore year.
You know, Patrick really didn't know what he wanted. He just wanted to play basketball. You know, it didn't matter who he played for. He could have went to a community college and he'll make the best of it, because you got to realize he's an inner city kid. The most guidance he's getting outside of his mom's is me. And he was pretty much looking at the little picture, but I already seen this big picture. This kid has talent, you know, that we really had to sit down and make sure we picked the right school for him so he can go from that next level of college, which to the NBA.
I committed to Toledo after my junior year in high school. I was gonna go there. And then, you know, I came in my senior year, you know, I just rocked out. And then, you know, big offers came between Arkansas and Michigan. I didn't want to be close to the crib. It took a long time for me to figure out decisions, for me to figure out which coaches are real, which coaches are bull stuff for me. I mean, it was real tough between the two schools. But it came down to, you know, where does my heart want me to go? And I have chosen to go to University of Arkansas. All right.
I want to give a special thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Factor. If you're like me, you want to eat a more balanced diet, but don't have the time to prepare quality meals every day of the week. With Factor, you get fresh, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. You get to choose from Factor's weekly updated menus, which include 27 plus meals and 34 plus add-on options that will give you a well-balanced diet without the hours of prep. As a hooper, I'm always trying to eat more protein to help me recover from workouts and long sessions. Factor's Protein Plus option has given me exactly what I need to meet my nutrition goals on and off the court. To help you get started, Factor is offering my viewers 50% off their first box of meals just for signing up using my code FACTORSE32952. That's Factor SE32952 to get 50% off your first box and take the next step towards a convenient new way to enjoy some delicious food.
Razorback basketball is everything in the state of Arkansas.
To Stewart, right side, Thurman. He's open for three, good!
Madden, right side. Three-pointer on the way, no good. Qualls with the dunk at the buzzer!
Well, Fayetteville is 1,843 miles away, but the call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
There's not many SEC schools that are as close as Razorback football and basketball are. For me, growing up in this state, it's an important fiber to the natural state.
With the way Arkansas is, there are no pro teams, and it's not a state that has other high major programs. Arkansas is the only one. There was a 6-year span where Arkansas was effectively the winningest program in college basketball, the greatest success in program history, the only national championship. 3 Final Fours in their 2 national championship appearances. You know, Arkansas made the transition to hiring another coach who had been under the Tom Izzo coaching tree at Michigan State, Stan Heath. But Arkansas really hit a wall. When you look at a 9-year stretch there, it was mostly ugly.
You know, I went there by myself. I was forced to grow up fast, you know, but, you know, basketball came easy. But just, you know, and it's hard to explain to just regular people who are not from Chicago. When you in Chicago, bro, and you out and you going to different parts, just regular stuff, different parties and stuff, like, and to transfer that and go to Arkansas, like, first time I ever seen a girl in heels, besides my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never seen no girls in heels. Yeah. Like, you know, gym shoes, Timbs, Air Force Ones, Mikes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when I got there, it was a whole culture change.
They had these big expectations for Patrick for the freshman year because they followed him all through high school. Fans loved him. The town was crazy about him. It was a small town. They didn't have an NBA team. So the basketball team was his NBA team, and it was like he was a star. Once he got there, he just took over.
At first, it was like a breath of fresh air. It's cool. I'm not around my friends. I'm not around my family. I'm just here by myself. Now I started to question myself. Now, okay, you're here now. What you gonna do? I went to the gym every day, every single day, every single day. We scrimmage. I was yelling out freshman of the year. Boom, boom, boom. Every day. I spoke into his existence. Like, I was calling that out the summer before I even played the game. And I was going to be the freshman year. And I backed it up. That was one of the goals I set, and I earned it. And I went to go get it.
Every year on the last court, Beverley stepping and then goes to work. Beverley, he's capable up there, can shoot it.
His first game as a Division I college player, Arkansas played Southeast Missouri. Patrick Beverley went off for 29 points as a true freshman in his first college game.
Beverley off the pick from Hill. Wow. Boy, this kid is outstanding. And he comes up with a strip and the lead for Irvin. Beverley hangs, count the basket.
There was a swagger. There was a confidence. He was a grinder for a guy that you thought was going to be a volume scorer, and he was initially. He led the team in scoring as a freshman, 14 points a game. So that was Patrick Beverley's rookie campaign in Arkansas, and what really evolved in that, I thought there was a real transformation with him in terms of what he was and what he was becoming. But you already started to see hints because you saw some of the swagger as a freshman. You saw that toughness. He wasn't a back down kind of guy. He wasn't a guy that's out there going, well, I'm lucky to be on the floor. I'm a freshman. He took it to folks.
Beverley with 2 to shoot. Got it away and hit a 3.
Has 5 boards. Beverley wide open 3. Got it.
P-Bev, man. I mean, he played with a joy and an intensity out there. I mean, he just played with a passion and a fury and a love for the game. In college, he could do it all, man. He could shoot it. He could get to the rack. He was a lockdown defender. I think he's just a guy that you wanted to play with because you knew he was going to bring it every single night.
What a play defensively by Beverley.
People probably didn't realize when Patrick went to Arkansas, Patrick broke like 10 records up there. You know, people probably didn't realize that he was conference freshman player of the year, led the conference and free throw percentage, 3-point percentage, steals, you know, freshman rebound. I mean, the accolades just went on and on and on and on and on.
Your first year in college to your second year, you've got a coaching change to begin with. And it reminded me when I was watching him, I thought this guy is becoming more and more of a blue-collar guy than he is that polished scorer I thought he might evolve into. In some ways, it took off relative to what he was going to be and needed to be to excel at the next level. So sometimes you don't look at numbers and say this defines a guy in a bad way just because there's some slippage. Some people would say, well, there's a sophomore slump. But you saw Beverley not slide as a player, even though some of his numbers dipped offensively, assists and scoring, but you saw other things surge. He started to define himself as someone that was going to bring something that guys his size just didn't bring, and it was toughness. This guy would attack the rim fearlessly, so he took on all comers despite being 6'1". There were just certain things he was packaging, so even if you were moving away from the notion that this guy was an elite scorer, he was transitioning to the guy he became. And you could see that. You couldn't project or predict necessarily what he would become, but you saw the makings of a guy that was setting himself apart relative to his skill set and his size.
I don't think he made the transition academically and with the new coach. You know, getting a new coach, he didn't make that transition. And I tried to get him to understand that, you know, some transitions are hard. It shows on and off the court that, you know, you can see he was confused.
The University of Arkansas has released a statement regarding junior guard Patrick Beverley. Quote, junior guard Patrick Beverley will not compete for the Razorbacks in the 2008-2009 basketball season. The University of Arkansas, including its administrators and coaches, will have no further comment due to student privacy laws, end quote. Beverley averaged 12 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 2.4 assists, per game in 38 minutes of contest for the Hogs last season. We will pass along any new information as it becomes.
Following his sophomore season, it came out in August that he was going to be suspended for a year for an academic situation. The university didn't comment on it, and there wasn't much information.
It was a paper written, and somebody wrote the paper for him. So, of course, he got suspended. The university told him, we're not kicking you out of school. We're allowing you to stay, but you can't play basketball for a year.
It hurt. I mean, I love P-Bev. I still love him now. And for that to happen and for him to ultimately get that. I mean, I can't sit here and say the university made the bad decision. They have a reputation to uphold. It was just a bummer that it happened to the best player.
A lot of players are going to hide behind that Privacy Act. Whatever decision they make, sit out a year, that's a heavy suspension. So there's all kinds of speculation. What could have happened? But I think the interesting thing is he opened up and was very candid. He goes, look, I turned in a paper that I didn't do.
So I had a tutor, and I forgot the young lady's name, but I'm not going to throw nobody under the bus. I'm not going to allow myself to be thrown under the bus. I'm not a snitch. I don't tell. I sat down, they say, Patrick, what happened? I say, I turned in a paper that wasn't mine. That's it. They say, oh, that's not true. You took a USB, you put it in, you uploaded it, you took it off that, you switched it on this. I say, hey, stop. Listen, people, I don't even know how to do all that. Only thing I did was turn in a paper that wasn't mine. That's it. Everything else y'all was talking about, y'all could talk to the person that did it. You feel me? I feel like I still had the street. I didn't want to throw nobody under the bus. And she denied everything, and so they just wanted to suspend me for a year. She came back and said that, no, he was absolutely right, and cleared it up, but at that time, I was already left for school.
You can take clothes from me, you could take money away from me, you could take shoes, but you take that ball away. I mean, that's a different monster. And tell me to sit still in Arkansas? Nah, I'm straight.
I can't hoop.
Man, I can't hoop. Well, me and my family and my mom, we thought the best decision was, I just had my son, and the best decision was to, go make some money as a pro.
Following his suspension from the University of Arkansas, Patrick Beverley would return home to Chicago with little money and seemingly no options.
Hopefully have an opportunity to go to the NBA. I'm not really good at nothing else, so just what else can I do? I don't have anything else.
Patrick was like, well, that's my dream, and I'm not gonna take that away, and if I can't play basketball, I don't wanna just sit here. I can't mentally be at the school and not do what I love.
He had options, and his option was to sit out a year and then play or go overseas, and he knew basketball was, with all that God-gifted talent, to sit out for an hour, Patrick wasn't gonna be able to handle. He wasn't gonna be able to sit out a whole year. What are you gonna do for a whole year besides get in trouble?
When you're in a situation where you don't know how strong you have to be until your strength is tested, you wouldn't know you can do anything. There's a lot of wild stuff that went on. That was 3 months. It was like life was just hitting me real fast. I go to Chicago, so I'm out without a job for 3 months and a half. So I get like $5,000 loan from my agent, and I bought drugs with it.
I just had my son, I'm like, what to do, you know what I'm saying? So it's natural, like coming from areas like that, you do what you've seen do.
I sold drugs from the time I was kicked out until I got my call, because I just was having my daughter.
When I hear him say that he was good at selling drugs, it's scary. All I see is death or jail. I haven't met any old drug dealers.
And I didn't feel, I couldn't ask my mom for money. Like, that's not a man. I just had to do what I thought was normal. So I sold drugs for 3 months and to support my daughter while she was born. I was flying back from Chicago to Arkansas, get there to watch her born and stuff like that to make sure she's straight. I got into a car accident, real bad car accident. The lady in the ambulance goes, I don't know how you made it out. Literally, I could touch my passenger door with my finger. I had to climb out the window, not a scratch on me. So I went through that. I went through the drug thing. I went through my cousin dying in my arms. 5-6 minutes into the drive, I get a call. Somebody just killed your cousin. I'm like, what?
He got caught in the middle of a shootout. We came over here and the ambulance told us to come to the hospital.
Kiss him on his forehead. Apologize. Walk out. I had nightmares for like 2 months straight. Couldn't sleep. And I felt like it was my fault because I brought him over there a lot, and was living with that. I think that was the last straw. I think that was like my motivation, like, nah, okay, let's refocus, let's get it back. Come on, let's get it, let's do it for him. Like, he always wanted to see you in the NBA, let's do it for him. That's what I do it for now.
He was in a dark place at that time. Like at that time, he was in a dark place. He didn't really know what to do. And sometimes we need that. Like we need that dark period in order for us to appreciate and understand the type of opportunity that's in front of us. And I think that it happened for a reason. Like it happened for him to understand that you have to control what you can control.
It's different hearing it, but when I was in it, it was really like me making the decision. Like, do I want to go this route or do I want to go this route? Do I want to be in the streets or do I want to go play basketball? If I want to play basketball, I have to give it my 110%, and I can't go back to it. And I made that decision to go play basketball, and it saved my life.
Just 2 days after the death of his cousin, Patrick Beverley would receive his first professional contract offer to play in the Ukraine.
Me in Ukraine, I just thought just being overseas here, everyone spoke English. Of course not in Ukraine. So we land, boom. Me and my mom went with me. Guy with a, Russian hat on, AK-47. I'm out there looking like, what is going on? It's extremely cold. They pick me up, boom. Welcome, boom, 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 boom. Take me to the house that I'm supposed to live in. I plug in my PlayStation. All the lights go off. Everything. So we just sitting there in the dark. I look at my mom, she look at me, it's okay, we're gonna make it through. I've been through worse.
The best thing for him at that time was not to go into the NBA, but to go overseas to make some money, get yourself prepared, and then you can come back and hopefully go to the league and maybe get drafted.
Oh, I knew I was getting to the league.
You knew you were getting, there was never a question?
Never a question. I just didn't know how I was gonna get there.
Okay.
And my first overseas job, I'm second division Ukraine.
Jesus.
I'm on a 21-hour train ride, to different cities trying to play basketball. And I have 2 kids, brand new kids. They're 1 and just born.
The European style of play is tough adjustment. Everybody can't play in the EuroLeague and play well. Like it's tough. The game is thought out more. It's a lot of schemes. Guys moving the ball, sharing the basketball. A lot of high IQ players. It was a good time for him. To learn the game, and I think he did just that.
Of course, the style is slower. The paint is more packed in. The IQ is higher over there. The athleticism is lower over there. So the finishing and me getting to the rim as easy as I was over there, it's not the same here because due to the athleticism.
A lot of players don't understand that over in Europe, the way they play defense and stuff like that is very similar to how West Side players play defense, which is more hands-on, physical, kind of a throwback to the Jordan era when you could hand check guys, stuff like that. The playing in Europe just further developed his defensive intensity.
Перешел и потерял мяч. Он тебе не нужен, Женя.
Just kept grinding. I was explosive, shooting jump shots, getting to the rim, passing, dunking. And I did everything. Played at a really high level. I took a bad team and made them really good. I was enjoying it.
Man, you know what? I was so locked in into getting back. Like I wanted to get back to. I want to play in the NBA, and that was my goal. So, when that's your goal, you kind of tunnel vision everything. I was. Over there for me it was 2 practice a day. Practice 2 days, I go home. I'm saying? I watch the NBA, watch some games. So I was just so locked in. I didn't really enjoy rushing until my 3rd year. Until I really sat down and relaxed a little bit, opened my eyes a little bit. But yeah, I was locked in the whole time.
I came from back overseas, and it was, I think, around the time they had the group workouts. And the people in my group were all the top guys now. It was Brandon Jennings, Johnny Flynn, it was Jeff Teague, Patty Mills. And I always just thought in my head, no one's been through what I've been through out here. I can do this. This is the easy part. And I just try to destroy everybody.
The Los Angeles Lakers took Patrick Beverley.
I had a draft party at my grandma's house, right on the block. Everybody was there, from my old teachers to, everybody, old friends to everybody, and it was one of the best times of my life. I was fortunate, man, to get drafted. I think 41 or 42 by the Lakers, and I was traded to the Heat.
After playing in the Summer League with the Miami Heat, Patrick Beverley would make the decision to return overseas, fueled with a desire to work on his game in an effort to be better prepared for the league.
I just didn't know how to run a team yet. I didn't know like what my role in the NBA was, so I did another year overseas on a really, really good team, probably the best team ever put together in Europe. Me, Milos, that's the year me and Milos played with each other. We won the Greek Cup with each other. We had European stars, he had American stars, he had everything. Came back to the States, I'm ready now. I signed a 2-year contract with the Heat. That's the same year LeBron got there. Me and LeBron became really close, like my big brother, talk all the time. So I was like, that kid that everybody was like, oh, all right, yeah, we like him, and I signed 2 years with him, excited, and I practiced. Mike Miller goes down, gets hurt, and since I'm the lowest man on the totem pole, they replaced me with Jerry Stackhouse. Then I go back overseas. So it was my first time I was cut from the team. One of my good friends, Will Bynum, he hit me with this, I'm like, yo, why I can never make it to the league? Like, I've been pushing, I get drafted by the Heat, they cut me, like, what else I had to do? Like, bro, for you to get into the NBA, everyone can score, all right? So you gotta take scoring out your game. For you to get into the NBA, exact words, you have to know how to run a team and you have to play unbelievable defense.
I pulled him to the side like, Pat, look, listen, trust me. Like, trust me on this. Listen, if you focus on defense, like defense only, focus on defense, because nobody's playing it. Nobody playing defense, and this is your specialty. Like, fall in love with defense. Start to learn every set. Know every set that every team is running. Before the guard can even know it, you know it. That's going to get you on the court. Once you get on the court, now you can show what you can do.
So him telling me that was like, okay, cool. I'm going to go overseas for 2 years, and I'm going to do exactly that. And he told me, the way you play defense is going to allow your offense, people to see offense, and it did. So I signed a 3-year, $3.4 million deal. I'm like the 3rd highest paid American in Europe. So I'm living. I got a 3-story house. I got 2 cars over there. So it's whatever. NBA, whatever. I get MVP. I think we tied the record with the most wins in the Euro Cup history. It's like, it was ridiculous.
The moment I said, forget the NBA, I'm gonna focus on my European career, I'm gonna make a ton of money over here, I'm gonna break every record, I'm gonna take this bum team, we're gonna go to the Euro League, we're gonna do something special. The moment I thought like that, 3 days later, I get a call from NBA. I had a chance to either join the Cleveland Cavaliers or I had a chance to join the Houston Rockets. I understood at the time I couldn't beat Kyrie Irving out of a spot, but I did, I had to go against Jay Lynn at that time, Lynn Sanity. I can take that. I had to pay. I signed a no NBA clause overseas. I think that at the time, the NBA, the buyout from the NBA is only $250,000. I'm 22 years old. I don't know the business side of it. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, yeah, they have paid a $1.6 million buyout. NBA got that. No, agent telling me like, no, they can only pay $250,000. So I'm looking at him like, so who pays the other 1.4? You have to. Look at my mom, she's in the corner. What you think? Your goal, right? Your dream? Yes, ma'am. Okay, cool. She pulls out checkbook, literally. Checkbook out of purse. Gives the check to the Russian team, and I was able to leave.
And then people ask me like, yo, why would you do that? It was my dream. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't care about the money. I still don't care about the money. I think I came back to the States, I think I had $7,000 to my name. Betted on myself, man, and I didn't roll a 7 either. I rolled a 9.
The Houston Rockets was kind of in no man land. There wasn't as bad to go out there and get the #1 overall pick. They're not as bad as they are now, with the tanking and the rebuilding and all that other stuff, because that era of the Rockets, which was the Kevin Martin, the Kyle Lowry, they was the faces of the Rockets at the time. Because that era of Houston Rockets basketball, that 3-year stretch, came right after the conclusion of the T-Mac and Yao Ming era. So the Rockets at the time were still trying to find themselves. Prior to the 2012-2013 season, the Rockets finished like 41-41. Somewhere along those lines, to where they kept missing the playoffs. So the first move was, they was a part of that big Chris Paul trade that was supposed to send Chris Paul to the Los Angeles Lakers. And in that deal, the Rockets got back Pau Gasol, a current All-Star. But as we all know, the trade got rescinded and the Rockets had to hit the reset button during that time. And I also had an opportunity a few years back to talk to Kevin Martin, who was a part of that trade. He was going to New Orleans at the time, and at the time he was the Rockets' best player. That's when he knew his relationship with that franchise was basically at a point of no return. A couple weeks later, before the start of the 2012-13 campaign, the Rockets basically put together that same package and sent it to OKC. Who did they get back in return? James Harden.
Having a career night. They can't stop him.
What the Rockets was doing at that time, they was trying to find which players and pieces actually mesh well with James Harden. When I saw that the Rockets brought in Patrick Beverley, I originally thought that this was just going to be another trial and error. I see he plays point guard. Is he a point guard like Jeremy Lin that's trying to get the ball in his hands to get the best version of himself, but you can't because you got James Harden? Or is he going to be more so of the off-ball guard that doesn't need the ball in his hands, and maybe that can end up being your starting guard next to James Harden? And in his first couple of games, you just saw like just the fight and the hustle that he just brought to the court.
Hey, Patrick Beverley's in the game. Remember, the Rockets just signed him, and he played his first minutes last night.
Mayo puts it up and misses. Look at the Rockets all over the court. Good save by Patrick Beverley. Pick from Asik, sets up Patrick Beverley for a three. How about this youngster? Patrick Beverley comes in like he's never... Where's he been? Or there's Mayo with great defenses. Beverley knocks it away.
Even early on, like when Patrick Beverley was just getting a couple minutes off the bench, you kind of knew right off the bat, okay, if there is something between this organization and Beverley, he's going to have that role of coming in and just being a dog, giving your team that nasty tenacity to where every single night it's like, you know, you end up being an enigma to your opponents because you don't want to have to deal with all the foolishness and nonsense that they're bringing. And I saw that very early, and lo and behold, within the next couple of weeks, he ends up being that.
I get my first check with the NBA, that motherfucker say $11,000. I'm living with my mom in the NBA. Like, my mom's going out to do nails and I'm going to NBA practice. And I'm coming home like, what we got for dinner? You know, so like, you know, that was my life, you know, my first couple years in the NBA. We talking about one of the best, you know, the best brand of basketball to ever play on planet Earth. I'm a defender. I have to learn a whole new trade. I never played defense. So like my just stemmed from like me being angry and always overlooked.
Once he started coming in, as I mentioned, that nasty tenacity, giving 100% effort on both ends of the court, but more so being the Rockets' best perimeter defender at the time, the Rockets went on a run after the All-Star break, and that's how they actually got into the playoffs that year. I believe there was like 8th, 9th at the time, before they got Patrick Beverley, and right when he was still trying to get his feet wet. But once Kevin McHale said, okay, this is something special, Patrick Beverley started racking up more minutes, and next thing you know, the Rockets finished that season with a 45-37 record at that time, and that's what basically got them into the playoffs.
He used to go to the front of the rim, pick up that garbage.
And Westbrook hobbling away.
Beverley went for the steal just as the timeout was called, and he actually got part of the knee of Russell Westbrook. He is really upset.
The incident itself. Me personally, I never looked at Patrick Beverley as a dirty player, but I take a look at that incident, and I would say that I'm not going to say I'll blame Patrick Beverley, but he was the cause of changing the trajectory of Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I do believe if Russell Westbrook does not get hurt, they will go back to the NBA Finals and have a rematch with the Miami Heat. Now, with that being said, I also don't believe that Patrick Beverley did that intentionally, and I also do not believe that Patrick Beverley should still be getting blamed on it. The Patrick Beverley that I've watched and got an opportunity to, to talk to, I mean, even when you go back and take a look at that play and you can see Russell Westbrook, giving the signal of calling the timeout, a lot of people was like, oh, he wanted to go after his knee and all this other stuff. No, he didn't. Patrick Beverley was sending a sign that the Rockets were not going to be pushed around. That is what Patrick Beverley is known for. He is known for getting into the opponent's head. He is known for at times unnecessary aggressive plays. And when you take a look at what Patrick Beverley had to go through to get to the NBA, and not just to get to the NBA, but to establish himself as a respectable and dependable role player, he developed a mentality like, I don't care who you are. I'm not going to let you or anybody else take this moment away from me. I'm not going to let you or anybody else embarrass me to have the general manager or somebody take these moments away from me. And that's just who he was as a person.
After showing that he could be the perfect backcourt partner for James Harden, Patrick Beverley's impact on the court only continued to grow, starting with his play style becoming a staple of the culture in Houston.
In his second season, you bring in Dwight Howard. Once you brought in Dwight Howard, that is when the expectations really started to rise for the Houston Rockets. It was like, okay, y'all are not babies no more. Y'all are not just trying to get into the playoffs. No, we are trying to win a championship. But the one person who was always saying it, who was always making sure that the Rockets do not lose hope or lose sight of the ultimate goal, was Patrick Beverley. He went out there every single game for the next 4 years and tried to help this organization win championships.
To watch Patrick Beverley just pick Drew Holiday's pocket right there and then take it in for a dunk.
One more set to run here in the second quarter. Beverley throws it down, coast to coast. Three of the game. There's a steal by Beverley. Oh, there's another steal by Beverley. Break for Miami. Cole going inside, blocked by Beverley. What a sensational defensive play. And then Beverley steals the ball.
Midway through his tenure with the Rockets, he established himself. He took the starting point guard job from Jeremy Lin. He knew his role on the team. He brought that fight, that hustle, that tenacity. And by the time you take a look at what he was in 2017, his last season there, which I think is probably his best season, you saw an evolved version of Patrick Beverley, because everything that he started to do in 2013, he just got better at.
After having been named to the NBA's All-Defensive Second Team in 2014, Patrick Beverley would earn the ultimate honor for his style of play in 2017, being named to the NBA's All-Defensive First Team.
It's the Thunder this season. James averaged 20 and a half. 7. There's a steal. Patrick Beverley.
He just made sure that the Rockets never lost sight of possibly even being better than what they could. 2017, I believe the Rockets end up winning 55, 56 games, if I'm not mistaken. And a part of it was Patrick Beverley, because yeah, his name didn't hold that much weight, but he was by far the definition of the leader of that team throughout, let's say, 2015 to 17.
Breaking news today, happened about 15 minutes ago. Chris Paul's Clipper career is officially over.
Rockets acquire Chris Paul from the Clippers. LA getting back Patrick Beverley, Sam Decker, Lou Williams, and four more.
It was a win-now move. The franchise just got desperate. And at the time, Chris Paul was getting desperate at the time. That's when, the clock in his age really started ticking on him. Like, okay, you don't have too many moments to, give yourself a realistic opportunity to win a championship, and let's see what we can do to make sure that we give ourselves the best opportunity to maximize this championship window that we have. And that was the thinking of that trade. The Rockets and Patrick Beverley pairing was the perfect marriage, because at the time the Rockets didn't have an identity. They were still fresh with their rebuild, and they was looking for something to build upon or to help build upon. And for Patrick Beverley, he needed an organization. He needed a general manager, a coach, teammates to just give him an opportunity to just showcase what he can do on the NBA court.
I didn't notice how big I was on the Rockets until I left and came back. And I left and came back, I'm sitting there and I look up. I got a tribute video. Yeah. A tribute video. Yeah. I turned around, the whole crowd stand up, and it hit me like, damn, I didn't even
They was
know
rocking
that.
with me, huh? You ain't say that.
I'm just being myself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I'm just going out there doing what I got to do to try to win basketball games. Like, I'm cool with being Robin. You know, honestly, I know who Batman is. You feel me? I'm cool with that. Like, all right. And then, you know, I saw that. Then it hit me like, yo, you got a gift, yo.
Yeah.
You got a gift that you're a culture change. You can change cultures.
It also show you the value that Patrick Beverley started to get around the league, because you have a team like the Los Angeles Clippers to where they're like, we don't know where it's gonna go, but we want a guy like Patrick Beverley who's gonna come in like he did for the Houston Rockets, make sure that he set a bar to where people are gonna look at us and be like, man, how in the world are the Los Angeles Clippers still this good?
During his time in LA, Patrick Beverley would once again help establish a new culture with a franchise, helping the Clippers reinvent a new identity as the underdogs of the NBA.
Look at that. Look at Pat Beverley. Lou, get in there.
Trice makes the read. Beverley against the three.
Anybody know if you have a reputation in this league, it goes out with you. So if you a person that get buckets, the night before you got to guard the person to get buckets, you know in your mind he get buckets. Yeah. And for me, I embrace that. So I know in my mind, like, you know, whatever dude that's I got tomorrow, they know how I'm coming. Yeah. Like I ain't, you know how I'm coming. Yeah. I'm coming right at you. I'm at you all game. Like you know my rap. Yeah. They know how I'm coming. You know, I ain't letting up. I ain't none of that. I ain't let my foot off the gas. I'm on their neck the whole time.
Kaminsky, guarded jumper blocked by Beverley. Oh my goodness!
Shot clock is into single digits. He's been better at the rim tonight. Counted on a foul.
In the summer of 2019, Beverley would sign a 3-year, $40 million deal with the Clippers, before soon being joined by a pair of All-NBA wings in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and by 2021 would lead the Los Angeles Clippers to their first appearance in the Western Conference Finals. The following offseason, Pat Bev would look to return to the Clippers to continue their hunt for a championship, but a low contract offer from the franchise would cause Beverley to look elsewhere.
Chris Paul was on the Clippers. Yeah. You know, he left, and I came on the Clippers. The only crew the Clippers went to the Western Conference Finals, the only time.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't go there with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, Lob City. Like, they went there, you know, with me. For them to come and, you know, we only looking for you to get $5 or $6 million. I felt like it was the ultimate spit in my face when I literally just changed this whole organization around and we went to the Western Conference Finals. I didn't think I got the fair end of the stick.
Beverley would instead elect to sign with the talented but inexperienced Minnesota Timberwolves that summer, and as fate would have it, was gifted a matchup with the Los Angeles Clippers in the 2022 play-in tournament, with a spot in the playoffs on the line.
He is the most impactful player on a team that has doubled their wins from last year. He lost the ball! They lost the ball! Beverley did it! And he's having words for Stephen Ballmer walking by him. Look at this. Oh, they love him. His mom Lisa loves it too. Picked up by Beverley, and that's all she wrote. The Timberwolves are going to the playoffs. Timberwolves in the playoffs for just the second time since 2004. They went in 2018 with Jimmy Butler, and they're going in 2022 led by Patrick Beverley.
In an all-in move that summer, the Timberwolves would send Beverley and a barrage of draft picks to the Utah Jazz, who then flipped Patrick in a deal that landed him in LA with former teammate LeBron James. After a brief stint with the Lakers, Pat Bev was ultimately traded again at the deadline, this time being bought out by Orlando in a move that left him free to sign with any team. Beverley would once again be looking to change the culture of a promising team, only this time, it was a return to the city that raised him.
from Chicago, a 6'2" guard, number 21, Patrick Beverley.
I mean, the weather kind of made it, okay, I'm home now, when I got off the plane. But the way I play, I run through a wall for any team I play. Just now, it's even more, it's the city where I'm from. So, I don't know what might happen. I might pull some shit that I ain't never did before. Obviously, hometown story was a major factor. Family, friends was like my third factor. Billy Donovan, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, my first factors. Very good relationships with the players. Always respected Billy D since a freshman in college, going against him in Florida. I mean, I didn't come here to tank. I didn't come here to, get a draft pick. That's not in my DNA. It's not my persona. That's not, what I'm made of. It's impact winning at all levels, whether if it's a big shot, a big free throw, a charge, a block, a rebound, whatever the fuck it is, it's impact winning.
What's going on, fellow Tar Heel? A little out of control. Oh! Patrick Beverley, his first points as a Bull.
I'm not surprised at where Patrick is because his determination and his focus was always there. It's still surreal at times, but I'm not surprised because I always had faith in him that you pray that your kids' dreams come true. And the way he got there was untraditional, but I wasn't too surprised that he made it because he really wanted it. And I saw the determination. I saw how bad he wanted it and how hard he worked to get to where he wanted to be.
He wouldn't be here for no reason other than to be great. Other than to shock the world the same way that he did, in high school. It's the same thing. And you just keep, you keep growing and you keep, fine tuning and you keep studying the game and studying the craft and you learn about life. And, it's a beautiful thing, to watch and to see someone mature at the level that Pat has matured to get to this point that he's at now.
For him to overcome everything and still not only make the NBA and just say, okay, he played a couple years in Houston, but that's it. No, here we are talking about Patrick Beverley, 10, 11 years in the NBA.
The camera's on him. He doesn't shy from that. He's Patrick Beverley. There's not a persona to protect an endorsement or a reputation. Sometimes I think it can be maybe a mistake, but I think it's also refreshing, and it's also why he has the success he has, because he's got to own what he is to maximize it.
The one thing that I love and respect about Patrick Beverley, if I watch him today playing for the Chicago Bulls, I'm going to still see that same fight, that same tenacity, that same anger, that same passion that as an established NBA player who has made millions, I'm going to see that same thing when I go back and watch him touch the NBA court for the Houston Rockets for the very first time.
They call him 94 feet. His energy level is undescribable. I've never in my life seen a kid play as hard as this kid, never. I'm proud of him. Patrick is an inner city basketball player that was brought up on the west side of Chicago. A lot of us don't make it out. You know what I'm saying? How can anybody not like this kid? You're talking about a kid that come from nowhere and being raised only by his mom, you know what I'm saying? These kids just want to get off the west side of Chicago and whatever it takes.
It's not a day that goes by where I don't thank Chicago and appreciate it. Not the good times, not like now. I'm going tapping on Rush and, riding in my nice car and my friends behind me in nice car, not that. It's like the rainy days, the snow days that I remember, like shoveling snow, shooting from that spot, shooting with gloves on, shooting with a coat on, like going there, pissed off at my mom, crying there, sleeping out there. It's gave me things that I really can't explain, and it's took away a lot of things that I love too. And if it weren't for Chicago, I wouldn't be the man or the player that I am today, 100%.